Alright, so I'm going to demonstrate on this last one of the 3 that I needed to do this to fit their spears in their hands. I'm going to show you what it is that I've done to these other 2. As I demonstrated, I think, before, I'll actually start kind of a pilot hole manually. Now I could work this all the way through there, but I have a little more difficult. I tend to want to wobble. So what I do is something like this, and that's on low, and that's just dual speed here. I got a high and a low. And you want to keep your fingers out of the way because you don't want the drill going into your finger. And this is a little easier for me to maintain a straight line. And there we go. I got a hole all the way through there. Now that's a smaller bit than what the shaft of his spear is in diameter. I could file that down some, and I actually did on one of them, and it helped a little bit. But now what I'm going to do, now that I have my straight hole, is I'm going to come back and I'm just going to let that pilot hole guide me through there and open it up a little bit. I'll take a razor, clean off some of this material. Take the X-Acto knife, actually. There we go. And we have a guy ready to march into battle and spear some folk. Hell yeah. Alright. I'm going to pause here and clean up my mess, and then we'll come back. I'll start the glue assembly. So, check my manual focus here, see if it's still where I want it. I think we're good. Gorilla Glue is the glue I use more often than anything else when it comes to super glue. That said, this liquid Loctite is actually a pretty good glue as well. I really don't have any complaints. I generally like the gel, because especially with small stuff like this stuff, even if it, say this was the Gorilla brand, basically any liquid super glue tends to run over and get all over stuff. Get glue all over your fingers, have your fingers stuck to your miniature. It's one of the nice things about the gel is you don't really have that issue. That said, they both have their purposes. They both work good. It says shake well. Now, one of the tricks about, let's see, I'm shaking it well. One of the tricks about using super glue is you want to use a little bit of it. Super glue does not like to stick to itself. So when you apply it to the miniature, it's generally good just to apply it to one side and then put the 2 parts together rather than try to put it on both sides. And again, a thin amount will work better than a whole bunch. If you have a whole bunch, then the glue is going to get all over the place, and your 2 parts aren't going to want to stick together. Like, say, if I put a dab in there and a dab on his hand, it'll eventually dry and stick together, but it's not going to want to. I'm going to end up holding it longer, and I might end up having to bust out with some of this stuff, which comes in pretty handy. Super glue accelerator. And again, there are other brands. I'm not knocking other brands of super glue. This is just what I like to use. And when it comes to accelerator, my experience is limited to either this extreme power stuff, which I picked up at Hobby Lobby, relatively inexpensive, $3.99, and then some other stuff called Zap-A-Gap, I think, that I picked up in a hobby store one time, and I can't remember what it cost. They both actually had the same kind of odor to them, which is actually pretty strong. So I don't know, they might have been the exact same thing, just bottled differently. So So here we are. We're ready to begin gluing everything down. First decision I need to make is, do I want to glue their weapons in place, or do I want to glue the miniature to the base and then glue their weapons? And I think that's the route I'm going to go. I'm going to go ahead and get them glued to their base and then worry about getting the weapons into position. Because then if I want to make it easier to handle them, and so I don't have to worry about having a spear in a guy's hand and having him, laying over and bend the spear or something, I can go ahead and stick them on here and then start gluing the weapons on. So, give it another good shake here. Let's see. I may end up busting out with some of that thinner Loctite stuff because I'm about to run out of my gel. Little dab will do ya. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put it on his sword. You know what? I actually just told you I was going to glue them onto their base first, so let's do that. Again, please give me some feedback and let me know if you want me to be more detailed, less detailed. I'm really making these videos for a few reasons. One is to just share my hobby with other miniature enthusiasts. I am going to be monetizing the videos so I can take that money and hopefully put it back into the hobby. Also, to help out beginners, people that are just getting into the hobby. Whoop. That was a bit much. I might smear that around a little bit. Alright, let's come back to this guy here with the poleaxe. I'm going to fit it. Well, you know what? Let me cap this off so it doesn't dry out on me. Now this is something new for me. Typically I used to use poster tack, and the problem with the poster tack is with heavier miniature, this is a bones guy, so he's not gonna fall off real easy because he's not got a lot of weight to him. When I say bones, again, I'm talking about that Reaper line that is the recycled PVC. And that's poster tack. Now for a light guy like this, it's not super heavy, he stays on there. If I'm painting at an odd angle, he doesn't really fall off. But heavier metal ones like this, sometimes they would fall off, even if the poster tack was relatively new. I'd always have to press down, make sure they're really on there good. So I'm going to venture into something new today. I'm going to give this a shot. This is mounting tape for mounting stuff to walls indoors. It's essentially a double-sided tape, which is really all I'm wanting out of it. Where's my razor? I got an X-Acto knife here. Alright. Let's see. Well, feels pretty sticky. I think we might be onto something here. Alright. Look at that. Look at that. Think winner winner chicken dinner? Alright. Now Now let's see how easy he comes off when he's all done and painted. This is manageable. This is manageable. I like it. I like it a lot. Alright. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these guys set up. I'll go ahead and pause here. Get them set up again. This is just a cork for a wine bottle. You can buy a bag of them. Glue it to a base so then it won't fall over. I can set them down. I don't have to worry about tipping over. Without this part, without that round wooden base, the cork itself wouldn't be as stable. And this is a really cheap mini holder. Checking the focus again, and I think we're good. Still showing me manual focus. Okay, so I meant to record this. I thought I'd hit the record button, and apparently I hadn't. Before I stick them all on their holders, which I have prepped and sitting over here to the side right there and there, I went ahead and decided I was going to flock them a little bit with some super glue and some gravel. So basically what I did, and again I meant to film it but I didn't, I just put some super glue on there, smeared it around with the stick. I have some shish kebab skewers, and I probably should have went with one of them instead of this. I would have been able to get a little more precise with pushing the glue around. But I would put the glue on there, stick the mini in there, then just knock off the excess, run my finger around the edge because I want a clean edge, because I'm going to probably paint that black. You can wait to do that until after you've actually already painted the rest of the miniature. But one of the advantages to doing it ahead of time was if you didn't like this color, which this is some gravel for model train or model railroad building. I'm not sure exactly what scale it would be. I know for these guys it's really like a really heavy gravel. Baking soda is more akin to what sand would be like for this scale. And sometimes I do use that. Sometimes I actually use a mixture. But for many years I used just this, as I've done with these, and it looks fine. Once these are painted, I'm going to go back and sprinkle some like grass flock on there, because some of them have a few little bald spots here and there. That's no big deal. That's how that was done. Now we're going to start gluing all their bits. So, for those of you who are watching who've been painting and assembling your own miniatures for a while, what kind of basing materials do you like to use? I actually use a wide variety. I have this stuff, as I mentioned, I use baking soda. I also have, well, I'll just show you. I'll just grab some. If you're shopping on a budget, I recommend this stuff. It works really great. Coarse gel. Makes a great earth texture. This is very similar. This is from Vallejo. You can get this at just about any craft store. I believe I ordered this stuff here off of Amazon. And it comes in a variety of colors, so you can put it post paint job as well. Although again, typically I put mine on before the priming and painting. What else do I have that I use? I think that's really it. And I have this stuff, which is kind of gravelly. I think it's made from some kind of seeds, though. really do like how that holds together. Yep. Thought I was being clever doing two at once there. Okay, he's going to be shield. Let's see, which shield is he gonna get? I think this shield is gonna go with this guy, perhaps. He gets a sword. Which sword does he get? Oh, let me make sure I'm getting centered on the camera here where I'm working. Plump. Plump, plump, plump. Like my sound effects? Yeah, I don't either. Awkward. So, what did I decide? This guy's a spear guy. So just give him a spear. It's gonna be a spear guy. This was my poleaxe guy. It's gonna be a sword guy. Oh, that's right, this was a sword guy too. These are spears. Spear over there. Spear over here. Is he gonna get the shield with the fabric on it? It covers him up a lot. Come on now, stay together. I don't need you failing when I'm trying to paint, because when I go use my airbrush, I'll hold it upside down to get the black paint in there. That's when they typically fall off, if they're going to fall off. Alright. Trying to decide here. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to check a picture here real quick that I got from Gripping Beast's website. Because in the group that it's showing for this package, which is what I have, and it may be a model or an age issue. Maybe this was an older, I don't see a date on it. Maybe it was an older release. But I actually don't have this guy in the picture on the website. They don't have this one. There's another bald guy in there, whereas I only have one bald guy. Well, let the gluing begin. Now, ooh, he's not holding down real good. Or is he? I don't know. We'll see. Shit. There we go, getting super glue on my fingers. 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000, 5 1000, 6 1000, 7 1000, 8 1000, 9 1000, 10. Oh, probably had too much glue in there, maybe not enough. I have to redo that tape. I should have cleaned the cork off better before trying to stick this to it. Alright. If you do use any of the super glue accelerant that I mentioned later, you put it on one side and your glue on the other side and then put them together. And the accelerant actually dries pretty quick, so you don't really want to waste too much time when you're doing that. 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000. 10 seconds, my butt here. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, 6, 1,000, 7, 1,000. Close enough. Oh, I know what I was going to talk about. So, for those of you who are more experienced, do you assemble and then paint, or do you paint and then assemble? Most of the time I assemble and then paint. There have been a few times where I've done it the other way around. And I've kind of decided that is what really makes the determination for me, I think, is the sculpt. How difficult is it going to be, and how precise am I wanting my paint job to be? Like, you know, what level of attention am I giving the paint? You know, what kind of standard am I really shooting for? The highest I'm capable of doing, or do I just want a good looking miniature that when you set it on the table he looks really great to somebody who's, you know, not like this close looking at it? I don't know, was my head on camera there? No, it's not, but my eyes are only a few inches from it. But the point being is, you know, some of the detail you actually lose when you're sitting at a table or standing at a table gaming, that you only see really when the miniature's up close to you, you know, when it's really kind of up in your face. So just depends on what kind of level you're going for. Wow, this one's being kind of tricksy. I wanted to, there we go. Alright, I feel a little better about that. The issue I was having with him not wanting to stick was because before I flocked all them with the gravel, I'd actually already had them stuck on here once, and then I decided I want to go ahead and put the gravel on there, and it's just easier to do when they're not on the holder, so I pulled them all off, and in the process had to wrestle with some of this mounting tape. Nope. I just knocked the poleaxe off of the desk. Alright, all is right with the world again here. Let's go ahead and glue this guy. Let's go ahead and, you know what? I think I am going to reach for one of those bamboo skewers. They were a little further back in here, which is why I didn't get one out earlier. But I think now would be a good time to demonstrate one of the many good uses for bamboo skewers. Alright. These are a very valuable tool. Oh yeah, I like the way that went. And let's be quick because it is super glue. I use a little more on there. Alright. Which way do we want the blade turning? I'm going to get it under the camera here where you guys can see. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. You're stuck to it. Is that really? Yeah, I guess it just goes in there and kind of bottoms out. There we go. Getting choked up on it a little bit. And then just for some added security measures, well, it's already pretty stable in there. Just gonna do a little dab and make sure I don't get that all over his beard. All right. Hope I don't lose that little definition in his fingers right there. We shall see. Yeah, that's the way he's holding it in the picture. Alright, who's next? I swear I saw some super glue. Flicked back on me or something when I was shaking it for a minute there. I don't know what I was thinking. Never had super glue on my face before. It figures the first time something like that happens, it'd be on camera that I'm gonna, be on film that I'm gonna share with a bunch of strangers and family and friends, eh? Mostly friends and strangers, I think. And most super glue sets up good about 10 seconds. That was probably 5 or 6. That's why you heard me counting earlier. Learn little things like that when you actually read your instructions for stuff. Now, I don't always do that. I don't always read instructions, but we always should, right? And there was a very little glue there. We'll see. Little dab will do you, like I said before, but I was counting in my head. I don't know if any of you were counting along with me, but I was counting in my head. There we go. Now it's bent. There we go. That'll work. That'll set up good. And once it's set up, I can straighten up the blade if I need to. still more comfortable, I think, doing it this way. Go let it touch the ground, I guess. It's not going to hurt anything. I don't have to worry about waiting for it to set up. Let's go ahead and get this guy's sword glued in. That was a bit much. Sorry for being off camera. A little bit more glue. And I'm running the risk of putting too much on there. And that right there should be about right. So that's 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006, 1007, 1008, 1009, 1010. Oh, look, it's stuck to my finger and not the actual mini. Whee! Joys of super glue. Alright. This is where I need to go get some more accelerant, because that bottle that I was showing you guys earlier is actually about empty. There's moments like this when it comes in handy. Let's see what I can do here. A lot of times I don't even spray it. I just use the nozzle like that to drip on it. See that? There you go. Extreme power, $3.99. Worth every bit of it. And there's a little bit of flash there. I probably should have filed that a little better and on his knuckles. And come back later and get it though. Alright, this is another guy. His fingers are open. I didn't have to drill into his hand. It was already kind of open, so I'm gonna do this method of it. This approach. Where I get the glue on the end of there. Put it in his hand like thus. Is there one that fit in his hand better than another one? Nope. So again, we're going to touch it up a little bit here. Maybe we want to make it look like he's going that route with it. How's that? That did not just happen. It actually did, but I tell myself that whenever something happens that I did not want to happen. Because, you know, it just makes it easier to deal with. Alright, like I said, you guys missed it because I thought I'd hit the record button earlier and I didn't. But when I was basing one of these and I had it over my little bucket of sand, I actually dropped one and it hit and a bunch of sand flew out of it, and I just kind of laughed and I said, well, if that's the worst thing that happens during this entire assembly and paint process, then I'm doing pretty good. Well, this is what they look like all assembled and glued together. It's kind of hard to pick out a lot of detail right now because they just look, you know, kind of metal and kind of shiny. Hope they're gonna stick. Yeah, see that? It's because I had to take them off earlier. So that means that this stuff works, but it's probably only good for about one use, which is okay. I don't know yet. I'll have to go through probably a whole batch. Like I say batch, that means a group of miniatures like this. Anytime I use the word batch, I'm generally referring to a bunch of miniatures that I'm painting. Because even if I'm not painting a unit like this, I typically paint more than one miniature at a time. So I'll probably have to paint a couple of batches before I decide whether I'm going to stick with this tape or whether I'm going to go back to poster tack. There's also hot glue. I've done that before, but that's potentially very difficult to get the miniature off. And with these cork bases, I run the risk of also just tearing up the base, or tearing up the cork. So yeah, I think we're good. Okay, so I'm going to show you my airbrush. I'm not actually going to videotape myself priming these guys. I will later down the road make a video doing such work, but for the sake of this one, I'm just not. My setup is still new, and just getting the camera mounted. It's actually mounted on a desk lamp of my wife's, but it's working. It's working. So I'm going to run with it, but trying to get it over to the other table where I do my airbrushing at is just more hassle than I'm going to venture into. So this is my airbrush. It's a Badger Patriot 105. They're actually pretty stout. This discoloration is because the chrome plating has worn off because I've left it soak in very powerful cleaning solvents that I probably should have watered down. Maybe not left it in there as long, but it's my workhorse and it still works fine. That doesn't really affect its action or how well it actually works. You can see where I used it last. The purple is from when I was painting this guy. I know, Purple Demon, right? He'll look much better. I'll probably do a video of me actually painting him so you can see what he actually ends up looking like. But for right now, I'm just concentrating on the Saga guys. So what I generally do is I like to do what's called a zenithal prime. I'll prime with black primer, like so. Then I'll come back with a gray and hit it at about a 45-degree angle, which would be kind of like this, you know, like so the black goes in like that, and then the gray would come like this, and then you usually stop there, or sometimes I'll go ahead and take a white and I'll just spray straight over the top of the miniature. And one of the good things about doing that, even if I'm using fairly opaque paints such as this line from Vallejo where it says extra opaque, when you're using a heavy opaque paint like this, the Zenithal Prime doesn't have as much of an effect because the paint's thick enough, not enough light bouncing off the primer and coming back through the paint affects the shading of it and the lighting. But if I'm using a thinner one, like say this Game Air paint, if I'm brushing it on, or let me see, even some of my P3s are kind of thin. If I use a thin coat of the P3 paint, or if I use some of, here we go, some of the Secret Weapon, this stuff's kind of thin. Then the Zenithal Prime is much more practical because the pigment or the paint's not as dense. And so what the Zenithal does, it gives you a natural lighting and shading effect. And if you're new to miniature painting, it really helps bring out the detail in the miniature when you highlight all your raised areas and kind of shadow your recessed areas. Now on a life-size version of this guy, we wouldn't have to worry about the contrast in paint so much because the natural lighting will take care of that. On this smallest scale, the natural lighting affects it different and you'll lose a lot of detail, and that's where little tricks like the Zenithal priming, using triads. Reaper actually makes some triads. Such as this dark skin right here, which I won't be using on these guys because these guys are Rus, so they're pretty light skinned folk. But this would be kind of your base, your shadow. This would be your mid-tone, and then your highlight. But that helps bring up the detail and the dimension of the model. So once again, I'm going to go ahead and prime them, and I'll be back and show you what that end result looks like. Actually, you know, I might make that a separate video. I might end here and upload what I've done so far, and then maybe later in the week upload the primed version of them, let you guys see that, and then we'll go into the paint and I'll go over some of the stuff that I just mentioned in greater detail, and you'll actually get to see how it kind of plays out, how it works on the actual miniatures. You get to see the work in progress. Alright, bark on, puppies.